Welcome to Love Lies Chronicles.
I always believed marriage was built on trust. That no matter what, when you looked into the eyes of the person you vowed to spend your life with, you'd see honesty, loyalty, a partner who'd stand by you through everything. But I was wrong. The day I found out about my wife's betrayal, I wasn't looking for evidence. I wasn't suspicious. I wasn't even the jealous type. I was just a man coming home early from a business trip, hoping to surprise my wife with dinner. I walked into our house, expecting to see her in her usual spot on the couch, scrolling through her phone, maybe sipping a glass of wine. Instead, I was met with silence. The kind of silence that instantly puts you on edge. Then I heard it. A soft giggle. Muffled whispers. I moved toward the bedroom, every step feeling heavier than the last. My brain was still in denial, still looking for a reasonable explanation. Maybe she had the TV on. Maybe she was on a call with one of her friends. But then I heard his voice. A man's voice. The bedroom door wasn't locked. When I pushed it open, everything inside me shattered. There she was. My wife. The woman I had built a life with. Straddling another man in our bed. I stood there, frozen. It felt like my body had shut down. Like my mind was desperately trying to process what my eyes were seeing. She saw me first. Her eyes widened, and for a split second, I saw something. Shock, maybe even guilt. But then she did something I'll never forget. She didn't rush to cover herself. She didn't push him away. She laughed. Not a nervous laugh. Not an embarrassed one. A cruel, mocking laugh. Her lover, some guy I had never seen before, had the nerve to smirk at me. I saw no shame in his eyes, no guilt, just a kind of smug arrogance that made my blood boil. Guess the trip ended early, huh? She said, as if I had just walked in on something as casual as her having a glass of wine. I don't remember walking away. I don't remember grabbing my keys or leaving the house. All I remember is the crushing weight in my chest as I drove away, my hands gripping the wheel so tightly I thought I might break it. The days after that moment were a blur. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I replayed it all in my head over and over again, trying to figure out where things had gone wrong. When did she stop loving me? When did I become nothing more than a joke to her? I tried to rationalize it. I thought about the signs, her sudden disinterest in me, the way she barely acknowledged me when I walked into the room, the late nights at work. I had brushed it all off, convinced myself I was just being paranoid. But the truth was staring me in the face. She had checked out of our marriage long before she got caught. I wasn't even worth a real apology. She didn't beg for forgiveness. She didn't try to explain. She didn't even deny it. She mocked me. And that was the moment I knew I would never take her back. A few days later, she called. Not to apologize, not to explain, but to talk like adults. I picked up, not because I wanted to hear her excuses, but because I needed closure. I don't know why you're making this such a big deal, she said, her voice casual, like we were talking about a minor argument instead of her affair. I mean, we weren't exactly happy, were we? I felt something inside me snap. We weren't happy? Or you weren't happy? I asked, keeping my voice steady. She sighed, like I was exhausting her. Look, I didn't mean for you to find out like that, okay? I was going to tell you eventually. That's funny, I said, because you didn't seem too shocked when I walked in. You laughed, remember? Silence. Then she said something that sealed her fate forever. Well, can you blame me? She scoffed. Look at us, look at you. You're predictable, safe, boring, and I needed more. Boring. That word stuck in my head. I had given this woman everything. Stability, loyalty, love. I had worked my ass off to build a life with her. And all it amounted to was being boring? I didn't say another word. I hung up, blocked her number, and walked over to my bathroom mirror. For the first time in days, I really looked at myself. I saw a man who had been broken. A man who had let himself be disrespected. A man who had lost himself in trying to make someone happy who would never be satisfied. That night, I made a decision. I wouldn't waste another second mourning someone who never valued me. I was going to rebuild. Not for her. Not for revenge. For me. And the next time she saw me, she wouldn't recognize the man standing in front of her. When I woke up the next morning, I felt different. Not healed. Not over it. But different. The anger, the humiliation, the sheer betrayal. It was all still there, lodged in my chest like a burning coal. But now, there was something else. Something sharper, colder. Resolve. I refused to be the broken man my wife thought she had left behind. I refused to be the boring, safe guy she had laughed at. If she wanted to see what a real transformation looked like, she'd get her wish. But she wouldn't be the one benefiting from it. I started with the gym. I hadn't been out of shape before, but I had always prioritized work over fitness. Long hours, late nights, too many takeout meals. That ended now. Every morning, I was in the gym by 6. I lifted weights, I ran. I pushed myself harder than I ever had. The soreness in my muscles was good. It reminded me that I was changing, that I was becoming something more. Then I worked on my mind. I cut out distractions. No social media, no doom scrolling through old pictures of her. I blocked her everywhere. I didn't want a single update about her life. I didn't want to see her fake happiness, her posts about finding herself, or whatever other bullshit she was selling to the world. Instead, I focused on myself. I upgraded my wardrobe, sleek suits, fitted shirts, high-quality shoes. I sharpened my presence, my confidence, my entire aura. I didn't just want to move on, I wanted to thrive. And I did. Within 6 months, I was unrecognizable. Not just physically, but in the way I carried myself. And that's when I met her. I wasn't looking for another relationship. Hell, I wasn't even looking to date. But Vanessa changed that. She wasn't just beautiful, she was the kind of woman who commanded attention the moment she walked into a room. Tall, elegant, sharp as a blade. She didn't need anyone's validation, she was the validation. We met at a charity event I had been invited to through work. I was standing at the bar, sipping my drink, when she sat down next to me. Her confidence was electrifying. She had this way of looking at you, like she already knew exactly who you were before you even introduced yourself. "You look like a man who doesn't waste time," she said, taking a slow sip of her cocktail. I smirked. "Not anymore." She raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Then let's not waste any." That was how it started. We didn't just date, we clicked. Vanessa was sharp, successful, and had zero tolerance for bullshit. She was the kind of woman my ex-wife could only dream of, being confident, ambitious, and completely out of her league. And when I learned about the upcoming gala, the one my ex-wife would definitely be attending, I knew exactly how I wanted to make my return. Not just as a man who had moved on, but as a man who had leveled up. The annual gala was one of the biggest events in our city's social calendar. High-end, exclusive, and attended by all the right people, including my ex-wife. I had no doubt she'd be there, draped on the arm of her new lover, playing the role of the woman who had traded up. She'd expect to see me broken, bitter, maybe even avoiding the event altogether. But she was in for a rude awakening. Vanessa and I would arrive together. Not just show up, make an entrance. I wanted my ex-wife to see what she had thrown away. I wanted her to feel that deep, burning regret when she realized she had bet on the wrong man. I wouldn't need to say a word. My presence alone would be enough. Vanessa, ever the strategist, loved the idea. "She'll be dying inside the moment she sees you," she said with a wicked smile. I smirked. That's the plan. The week leading up to the gala, I started hearing whispers. Mutual friends reaching out. People dropping hints. Apparently, my ex-wife had heard about my transformation. She had seen a picture of me at a recent networking event. And suddenly, she was curious. A few days before the gala, I got a text from an unknown number. I didn't have to guess who it was. "Hey, it's been a while. Can we talk?" I stared at the screen, letting out a low chuckle. She wasn't reaching out because she missed me. She was reaching out because she had seen the difference. Because for the first time, she realized she had made a mistake. I didn't respond. She would get her answer at the gala. And when she did, it would be too late. The night of the gala had arrived. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the cufflinks on my tailored black suit. The man staring back at me was a stranger compared to the one who had walked in on his wife's betrayal months ago. That man was broken. This man? Unbreakable. I glanced at Vanessa as she stepped into the room, slipping on her diamond earrings. She was stunning, a sleek, floor-length black gown that hugged her figure perfectly, her dark hair cascading in soft waves over her shoulder. Effortless. Commanding. A goddess. I smirked. "You're going to make every woman in that room hate you." She turned to me with a knowing smile, adjusting my tie. "And make every man jealous of you." Damn right. Tonight wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about my ex-wife. It was about showing her, and everyone else, what she had lost. The gala was held at an upscale downtown venue, a place meant to impress. The moment Vanessa and I stepped out of the car, all eyes turned toward us. People didn't just notice us, they felt our presence. The energy shifted. I could hear the whispers. "Is that? Wow, he looks incredible. Who's the woman with him?" Security at the entrance barely glanced at our invitation before ushering us inside. The room was already packed: politicians, business leaders, socialites, and, of course, my ex-wife. I spotted her immediately. She was standing near the bar with her new man, wearing a forced smile while engaging in small talk. But the moment she really saw me, her expression changed. Her lips parted slightly. Her grip on her champagne flute tightened. She looked me up and down, eyes scanning every inch, processing the transformation. And then she saw Vanessa. I swear I could see the jealousy flood into her face. She blinked rapidly, as if she couldn't believe it. As if the man she had once laughed at, humiliated, and discarded had turned into this. She whispered something to her date. He barely paid attention. His eyes were locked on Vanessa. Perfect. Vanessa and I walked through the crowd effortlessly, greeting people, exchanging pleasantries. I made sure to keep my tone calm, confident, and completely indifferent, because I knew my ex-wife was watching. Her eyes followed me, desperate for acknowledgement. She wanted me to look at her, to give her some kind of reaction. But I didn't. I treated her like a stranger. It was driving her insane. I could feel it. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. "Excuse me." I turned to find her standing behind me, her expression carefully composed, but her eyes betraying her. While she said, forcing a laugh, "It's been a while. You look different." I took a slow sip of my drink before responding. "Do I?" She hesitated, clearly thrown off by my unbothered demeanor. This wasn't the reaction she had been hoping for. Her gaze flicked to Vanessa. "And who's your friend?" Vanessa smiled, stepping closer to me, placing her perfectly manicured hand on my arm. "I'm Vanessa. And you are?" My ex-wife's eyes flashed. She forced another tight smile. "I'm me." I cut her off. "It doesn't matter." She blinked. "Excuse me." I leaned in slightly, just enough so only she could hear. "I don't care who you are anymore." She swallowed hard. I saw her composure crack, just for a second. That's when her date appeared beside her. "Hey, babe," he said, not even sparing her a glance before his eyes locked onto Vanessa. My ex-wife noticed. Her jealousy burned hotter. I smirked. It was too easy. For the next half hour, I barely acknowledged my ex-wife's existence. Instead, I let her witness it. Witness the way I moved through the room with Vanessa. I was effortlessly confident. People admired and respected me now, and her new man couldn't stop sneaking glances at Vanessa. And she hated every second of it. I saw the way she clenched her jaw when Vanessa laughed at one of my jokes. Her shoulders tensed when I placed a hand on Vanessa's waist. I saw the regret creeping into her eyes, the regret of realizing that she had lost something irreplaceable. Then came the moment I had been waiting for. She approached me again, this time without her date. "Listen," she started, her voice softer. I just wanted to say that I cut her off with a smile. A real, genuine smile. "Good seeing you," I said simply, before turning back to Vanessa. And just like that, I walked away, leaving her standing there. Alone, defeated, and drowning in her own regret. I had expected jealousy. I had even expected regret. But what I saw in my ex-wife's eyes as I walked away was something much more satisfying: panic. She had spent months living under the illusion that I was just another disposable man, that she could trade me in like an old car for a shinier model. But now, she had seen the difference. And it was killing her. I noticed it almost immediately. The way she hovered, trying to get close to me. The way she laughed a little too loud in conversations, hoping I'd turn my head. The way she glanced at Vanessa, sizing her up, trying to find some flaw, any reason to convince herself she was still the superior woman. Except she wasn't. Not anymore. And she knew it. Her new boyfriend, the man she had left me for, was barely paying attention to her now. He was still sneaking looks at Vanessa, shifting uncomfortably every time Vanessa's sharp, confident laughter rang through the room. I didn't need to do anything. The cracks were forming on their own. Then she made her first desperate move. She approached me again this time, when Vanessa had stepped away to take a phone call. "Hey," she said, forcing a casual smile. I turned to her slowly, raising an eyebrow. "Something you need?" She fidgeted with her bracelet. That was new. She was nervous. "I just wanted to talk," she said, her voice softer now. "It's been a long time." I took a sip of my drink, unimpressed. "Not long enough." She let out a fake laugh, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. The same little flirtatious habit I used to fall for. But it didn't affect me anymore. "You don't have to act like this," she said, tilting her head. "I mean, we were together for years. That has to mean something." I set my glass down, folding my arms. Now, she wanted to acknowledge our past? Funny. I leaned in slightly, just enough to watch her breath catch. It did mean something. A flicker of hope crossed her face. Then I delivered the final nail. Until you threw it away. Her lips parted slightly. I could see the guilt flash in her eyes, but she still wasn't ready to admit defeat. Instead, she tried the classic move, rewriting history. I never meant to hurt you, she said softly. You have to understand. Things just got complicated. I smirked, shaking my head. Complicated? I repeated. You mean when I walked in and caught you screwing another man? Her face flushed. That wasn't. Let me stop you there, I said, my voice calm but firm. I don't care. She blinked. What? I smiled. I don't care. And I meant it. I wasn't angry. I wasn't bitter. I was free. Her expression shifted, like the ground beneath her was cracking, and she couldn't stop it. For the first time since we had separated, she wasn't the one in control. And she knew it. As if the humiliation of watching me move on effortlessly wasn't bad enough, her new man wasn't exactly proving to be her Prince Charming. I had already noticed the signs, his disinterest in her, the way he barely acknowledged her presence. But now it was becoming painfully obvious to everyone in the room. While she had been too busy obsessing over me, he had been chatting with a younger woman at the bar. A woman who looked exactly like the type of upgrade he would be making next. I saw it happen the moment she realized she had played herself. She turned toward him, watching as he leaned in a little too close to the brunette at the bar. Her posture stiffened. She whispered something to him, her expression tight with panic. But he just shrugged her off. Ouch. I had to fight back a chuckle. This was karma. Raw. Undeniable. Inescapable. The man she had traded me for was already looking for his next conquest. And she couldn't even pretend not to see it. She turned back toward me, her desperation now fully visible. Listen, she started, stepping closer. Maybe we should. I cut her off with a simple shake of my head. No. She flinched. What do you mean? No, she asked, her voice cracking slightly. I gave her one last look. Calm. Confident. Unbothered. No, I repeated. We're done. And just like that, I turned away. As I walked toward Vanessa, toward my future, I felt nothing but satisfaction. Because I had one. Not by fighting. Not by arguing. But by moving on. And leaving her behind. I walked away. Not in anger. Not in bitterness. But in absolute, unshakable victory. As Vanessa and I left the conversation behind, I could feel the weight of my ex-wife's eyes burning into my back. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. She had already lost. And she knew it. It wasn't long before the whispers started. I didn't have to hear them to know what was being said. She looks miserable. She thought she upgraded, and now look at her. He's already moved on, and she's falling apart. I felt it before I even saw it, the moment she finally cracked. The once composed, confident woman who had thrown me aside like an afterthought was now a mess. Her new boyfriend? Nowhere to be found. She stood alone, her once pristine posture slumped, her drink trembling slightly in her hand. Her eyes darted frantically around the room, as if she could find some lifeline, some escape from the reality she had created for herself. And then, finally, she snapped. I heard the sharp clink of her champagne glass as she slammed it onto the bar. I turned my head just in time to see her storm toward me, her face twisted in desperation. She didn't care about the crowd. She didn't care about the eyes on her. She only cared about one thing now. Me. Wait, she said, grabbing my wrist before I could step out onto the balcony with Vanessa. I stopped, not because I wanted to hear her out, but because this was it. The final moment. The real ending. I turned slowly, meeting her eyes. Up close, I saw it, the regret, the panic, the realization. She had gambled and lost everything. I need to talk to you, she said, her voice shaking. I didn't answer. I just waited. Her lower lip trembled slightly. She knew I wasn't making this easy for her. I made a mistake, she whispered. A huge mistake. Silence. She took a deep breath. I didn't know how much I needed you until I lost you. There it was. The admission. The thing she swore she'd never say. The thing she had been too proud, too arrogant, too sure of herself to ever believe would happen. She regretted it. All of it. I could have made this ugly. I could have humiliated her the way she had humiliated me. But I didn't need to. Because I had already won. So I just smiled. Slow, confident, completely unaffected. No, I said, shaking my head. You didn't need me. Her face crumbled. You had me, I continued. And you threw me away. I leaned in slightly, lowering my voice just enough for only her to hear. And now, I said, my tone casual, almost amused. Now you'll live with that. A tear slipped down her cheek. I watched as the weight of those words hit her, sinking into her chest, dragging her down into the very pit she had dug for herself. Then, I turned to Vanessa. She didn't ask what my ex had said. She didn't need to. Instead, she simply took my hand, flashing my ex-wife a polite, indifferent smile before we walked away together. And that was it. No dramatic exit. No parting insult. Just silence. Because sometimes, silence is the loudest revenge of all. As Vanessa and I stepped outside onto the balcony, I felt lighter than I had in years. Free. The past no longer had a hold on me. My ex-wife no longer had a hold on me. And she never would again. I glanced back once, just in time to see her collapse onto a bar stool, her face buried in her hands. She wasn't just regretting losing me. She was regretting losing the life she could have had. And I didn't feel a damn thing for her. Vanessa turned to me, arching an eyebrow. So, she said, smirking. Think she got the message? I chuckled. Oh yeah. Good. Vanessa said, clinking her glass against mine. Then let's celebrate. And with that, we moved forward, leaving the past exactly where it belonged, in the rearview mirror.
Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.